Looking to be more productive and jump those hurdles of change and challenge easier? You've come to the right place. Welcome to Thrive in Life with your hosts, Zaheen Nanji.
Welcome to episode number 40 of the Thrive in Life show. I'm your host, Zaheen Nanji. Today we have no guest, but that's because I would like to share with you 7 keys on how to empower yourself with optimism. And for your freebie today, I would like to give you a full guide or report on optimism. And you can access that at zaheennanji.com/TIL/the number 40. Again, that's zaheennanji.com/TIL/the number 40. Okay, you're ready to know how to be more optimistic, which I'm sure you are already, but we have some days that we're not, and I've been there too. I'm going to go through the 7 keys, but before I do that, I want to give you some background on this. So, you may have noticed that there are some people, especially your optimistic friends, they seem to be more cheerful, probably more successful as well, and just all around enjoying life more than others seem to be. Well, it turns out that they may not be optimistic because of what's happening in their lives. Rather, it's the opposite. So let me explain a little bit more. First of all, what is optimism? Optimism is a form of positive thinking. And it includes the belief that your happiness is your responsibility. Let me repeat that. It's a belief that your happiness is your responsibility. Now, let me just pause that for a second and let you know that I'm actually recording this with a PowerPoint presentation. So if you'd like to see the PowerPoint, you can go to zaheennanji.com and click on Thrive in Life show. You can watch it there. Or if you're listening to this as a podcast, know that you can go on that website and check out the PowerPoint as well. So I just wanted to let all my listeners on the podcast know that they do have access to that. All right, let's continue. So do you know how you can form that belief about your happiness? That it's your responsibility, and that's how they think. That's why it's not about what is happening in their lives, it's how they make their life to be. That no matter what is going on in your life, you can choose to see the good and embrace the positive aspects of even the most challenging situation. So for example, the optimist might walk away after being dumped, thinking, well, it just wasn't meant to be, and then they'll move on. However, the pessimist may focus on the negative side of things, like what did they do to cause the breakdown of the relationship? Did they do something wrong? And they'll keep on kind of thinking about that. So to give you another example as well, and just to go back to the definition of that, no matter what is going on in your life, you choose to see the good and embrace the positive aspects of even the most challenging situation. Now, you may not always be like that. I mean, I certainly wasn't, especially in 2016 when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I actually remember this very distinctly. It was after my surgery where they removed the tumor from my breast. And I was sharing a room with 2 other women in the hospital. On the left-hand side was a lady who had her colon removed. And she had been in the hospital for 8 days. And on the right-hand side, there was an elderly lady in her 90s. And she had been there since the night before. Now, as a lot of people came to see the lady on my right, the 94-year-old, I figured out why she was there. Now, she was there because the night before she had really bad cramps in her abdomen. So she came to the ER. And after they did some tests and took some x-rays or scans, they found out that there was a knot in her abdomen and they had to do surgery. But they gave her 2 options. Because she was 94, they could do surgery, but it could be very detrimental and she may not be able to make it. And the second option was just to leave it the way it was, but know that she couldn't do a lot and she could actually pass away pretty soon. So she decided to go for the second option. And throughout the day, her family came to visit, a psychologist came to visit her, a physician came to visit her, of course, and everyone wanted to make her feel comfortable. And there I was, and there's more to the story, but there I was, thinking to myself, wow, here I thought that I had it worse, which was breast cancer, but now know that I'm not downplaying breast cancer. Please do not feel that way. These are my thoughts that I was going through. And it was funny the way that I was thinking about them, right? But I wanted to share that with you, that this is what made me reframe my thoughts, thinking, well, at least I'm not dying and the tumor is out now. At least I have options. The breast is only an organ outside my body, so we can easily take it off as well if worse comes to worse. I've got family around me and I'm happy about that. And so you see how I started to think like an optimist, that no matter what is going on in my life, I started to see the good and embrace that. And that is a habit. It doesn't come easy. But that's a habit that I've learned from my mentor, who is my mother. She always had this knack of going from negative to positive in a short time. And I really like that about her. So some of the traits of optimists, they are resilient, of course. They practice and express gratitude all the time. They are quick to forgive when they are wronged. And they see the light at the end of any tunnel. They have less stress and are better at handling stress. And I know for sure that I've become better over the years as well. They surround themselves with positive individuals. This is so important because you and I know that the energy really gets sucked up by people who can be very negative, and you don't want to be around that. You also have to understand that optimists are very adaptable because they look at an issue from every angle and then they plot their course of action. They also expect a good outcome every time. But even if they don't get that outcome, they will reflect back and figure out, okay, what can they tweak? What can they change? And how can they grow from that situation? How can they make it work? And so they keep on trying and keep on trying. And I certainly have seen that too when it comes to, especially now that I've taken a lot of my business online. I like to coach online to a group of individuals. I have courses too. And if you want to know more about my courses, just go to resiliencchampion.com. And it was difficult to go away from being in front of people where I still do that. I still speak. But it's a different energy when it's online. People may not get that energy when I'm there for an hour speaking in front of them on the stage, right? But it was so difficult for me to learn all the tech stuff and understand why it's important to send out emails, to do this, do all that kind of stuff. But I grew from it. I knew that this can work. If it's worked for others, why can't it work for me? It can work for me as well. So I just wanted to share some research with you. According to the Harvard School of Public Health, published online in 2012 in the Psychological Bulletin, they found out that individuals who are optimistic have low risk of cardiovascular health. In fact, they have really good cardiovascular health. In another study from the Harvard School of Public Health, it was found that middle-aged optimists have high levels of good cholesterol and low levels of bad cholesterol. Dr. Dennis Charney from the Melissa Institute has actually studied a lot of individuals who have survived despite extreme stress. These individuals include earthquake victims, special forces, tsunami victims, prisoners of war, all these kinds of people. And he found that the predominant common factor is, you guessed it, optimism. That the survivors believed that despite the challenge that they were going through, they would prevail. They would be okay. Now, I'm going to go into what the 7 keys are to become more optimist. And for each key, I'm also going to give you a tool that you can use as well. I'm not the kind of teacher, as you will, or trainer that just tells you what it is and then says, okay, this is great. I love to give you the background, and then I go through a tool for each key that I'm going to give you. And I do the same thing with my speeches. I always get the individuals in the room to do group work so they can actually experience what it feels like. So optimists, as you've understood now from the background, they do make lemonade when life hands them lemons. Unfortunately, the pessimist, however, will always find the cold, regardless of how large the silver lining is. Now, because you're listening to this, I know that you're already an optimist, but you may be wondering, well, there are days that I don't really feel optimistic at all. So how can I become better? Well, you can, but keep in mind that it's a deliberate effort that takes lots of practice. Even before I got diagnosed with breast cancer in 2016, by the way, I'm completely fine now, I talked about resilience, right? And I had this formula that I would teach, and yes, I practiced it. But I really had to put it into practice every day throughout the episode in my life where I was going through a huge change. And during my darkest days and darkest hours, I really had to practice what I preached. So here you go. The first thing that you want to do to become an optimist is ditch the negative phrases. That's right. Wipe out phrases like it's impossible, it can't work, or I can't do this, or anything like that. Those types of statements are merely programming your mind to look for the negative in every situation. And so when you hear phrases like that in your head, or you become aware of that, just stop and ask yourself, okay, what's a more helpful thought? So if I would say things like, it's impossible to come out of this situation feeling better on any of the days, right? In fact, a lot of people when I went through chemotherapy, a lot of people told me, oh, you're going to be sick and you're going to be nauseous and all that kind of stuff. And I started to believe that. And I would say, oh, it's impossible to feel better, when anyone's going through chemotherapy. And I became aware of that. And I had to stop myself and say, okay, you got to ditch the negative stuff. If you want to have your life be as normal as possible during the next 6 months, ditch the negative phrases and say, I can do my best when, or what is a more helpful thought? It is possible to do the work that I want to do while I'm going through chemotherapy. It is possible to go speak to an audience while I'm going through chemotherapy. And when I started to use those kinds of phrases, guess what? I could do it. And I was amazed at what I could do when I thought it wasn't possible. All right, number 2, drop the whine. Okay, why waste your breath and energy whining about things that are some of the times that are completely out of your control? It's draining you. However, you know that other things are in your control. When I took the training on law of attraction back in 2008 with my mentor, Michael Lozier, he said something then that always stuck with me. He said, complaining is a negative vibe. And the universe will match that vibe and give you more of the same. So if I'm always whining and complaining, the law of attraction states that the universe is going to match that vibe, so match my negative vibe and complaining and give me more of the same back. So I'll see more and more negative. And I thought, oh my God, of course, that makes so much sense. So whenever I find, if I start complaining about something or whining about something, again, I become aware of that. And that is deliberate action that you need to take, is to become aware of that. And then stop. And here's the tool you need to use when you want to drop the whine. Ask yourself, so what do I want? What exactly do I want? Okay. So we did number one, which is ditch the negative phrases, and and the tool there is ask yourself, what's a more helpful thought? And then come up with a helpful thought. Number two, drop the whine, and the tool there is by asking, so what do I want? Now, the third key when it comes to being more optimistic is to find the opportunity in a challenge. So some of the things that you'll find, stories of athletes, by the way, who, here's one of Trisha Downing, who I had interviewed in my show, and I'll put the link in my show notes. She is such an inspiration. She was actually a competitive cyclist. Okay, that's the right word. A competitive cyclist. Well, one day in September of, I'm not sure what year, but one day she was actually riding out and she was enjoying her ride and thinking about her day and her upcoming week. And a car came out of nowhere and knocked her. And she lost the use of her legs. Of course, you know what? She went through a lot. She thought, how am I going to do the thing I love, which is competing as a cyclist? My legs are not working for me anymore. Well, she found the opportunity in the challenge, and she decided to become a wheelchair racer. That's right, a wheelchair racer. Now she is an athlete doing that. So you see how she found an opportunity even in her challenge. So doing that, it's not about ignoring the problems. It's about understanding that challenges happen, setbacks can happen, but it's knowing that you have the abilities and the skills to overcome that challenge, to find that lemonade in that lemon, right? And to move your thought process from hopelessness to hopefulness. All right. Okay, the fourth key is social life. Optimism can be learned and is very contagious. So like I mentioned before, stick around others who are also positive and optimistic, whether it's through masterminds, whether it's through networking groups, whether it is at your work. Now, I'm sure you will find people who can be negative, who can suck the energy out of you. But what you can do is to keep your vibe from being sucked away, to keep your energy from being sucked away, just don't hang around them. Don't go to the coffee room when they're there. I'm sorry, but that's what you got to do. In fact, go to the coffee room when other optimistic people are there, and be around that, because it will actually rub off on you. And when you're around these people, what you want to do is ask their advice on things that may be bothering you, and see what they come up with, because they look at life very differently, and that will start to rub off on you. Okay, so far we've done 4. Number 1 is where you want to ditch the negative phrases. Number 2 is you want to drop the whine, and I've given you tools to work on those. Number 3 is to find the opportunity in that challenge somehow. And the only way I can tell you that is to practice that, is to figure out how you can use that challenge as an opportunity. Number 4 is social life. Hang around people who are optimistic, who are always cheerful, who are positive, and who can influence you in a way that is very positive. Number 5 is reframe. And this kind of goes hand in hand with number 4 in a sense that even when you don't have a choice and you're stuck around others who suck the energy out of you, who are always negative and complaining, use tool key number 5, which is reframing. This is actually one of the tools I even share in my speeches. It's the way you respond to the challenges that are key. Okay, it's not about the challenge itself, it's how you respond to them. So say you're at work and you're in the coffee room or you're having lunch with a couple of coworkers and you know that one of them can be very negative. And say they start to complain or whine about something and you go, here we go again. Take this tool of reframing. And what you can do here is ask these questions. And even when you go through a challenge, this is a great way to ask yourself questions to help you bring you back. And the questions are, what's the worst thing that could happen but may not? I'll repeat that. What's the worst thing that could happen but may not? And the second kind of question you could ask to reframe is, how can I work through this so that the outcome is positive? Again, how can I work through this so the outcome is positive? So just using those two questions can really flip your thinking from negative to positive, and you always use those questions with a person who can be negative as well and who is always whining and complaining. Use those questions and watch what happens. You'll be amazed. Okay, we're almost coming to the end. We're on number 6. Another key way to be more optimistic is honestly reading quotes. I find that quotes give you that hope. They give you reminders to feed your optimism. And thanks to social media, you can find quotes on Facebook. You can find them especially on Pinterest. And what I have done with my account is I have created a board, and all it says is resiliency quotes. And any quotes that I find on Pinterest, I will pin it to that board. Now that helps me for myself, but it also helps me if I wanted to share that with my Facebook groups that take my courses. So I have students in those groups, and I like to share those kinds of quotes with them, as well as if I wanted to use anything for my speeches, I take the quotes from there. And I find that it's really helpful if you're not having a great time is to put them in places that you see every day. So whether it's your bathroom, your bedroom, your home office, where you work out, anything like that, even your cell phone, right? You can put it in there as well. So start doing that from now on. And the last one, but not least, is blessing. That's huge. That's a huge key to make sure that you're optimistic. And this is where you look at all the positives in your life so you can start to celebrate them. When you start to celebrate those, your positive vibes really increase. And again, with the law of attraction, the universe will match that and give you more of the same back. Wouldn't you want that? That if it matches that and gives you more of the same back, that means you'll be seeing more and more great things in your life, and you'll be more and more blessed, right? And this is back to the story about how I was in the hospital, and I started to be really grateful about the things that I have, about the relationships that I have around me that are going really well. And I started to embrace that more and more. And that's what I want you to do as well, is to be more optimistic. Instead of looking at that one negative thing that is irritating you or affecting your mood, flip again and think about, okay, what are the blessings that I have that are working for me in my life right now? And focus on that. And notice how that makes you feel. Some of the tools that you can use here to make the 7th key, which is blessing, a part of your optimistic life is to make sure that you journal things that happened that were a blessing that day. You also can have a gratitude book, and it doesn't have to be a big, thick book. It can be a little notebook that you can put in your purse. And for men, you can put that in your car, in your office drawer. Even for women, of course, you can put that in your office drawer next to your bedside. It's just a gratitude book, and where you just write things that you're grateful for that day. So whether it is someone bought you a coffee, someone took you out for lunch, someone called you up and you made a sale, someone called you up and gave you some good news, you got a promotion, you got a project that you always wanted to work on, anything like that, write that down. Because on the days that you're down, on the days that you feel negative, you're whining, complaining, and you can't seem to reset yourself, it is that gratitude book that you'll open up and read and you go, of course, I'm so grateful for that. Yes, I'm so grateful for that too. And you'll start to become more and more optimistic. So there you have it, okay? You know, there have been countless studies carried out on optimism, and the vast majority of those have come to the same conclusion. And I'm going to share this with you here, that optimism will keep you healthy. It's amazing for your health, because what happens is your stress hormones will be curbed and your happy hormones will always be around, right? They won't. Whenever we are stressed, by the way, our stress hormones goes really high up and our happy hormones get diminished. So we need to bring our happy hormones back up again into balance, right? And optimism is the key to doing that. Optimists cope better with adversity. They have a stronger immune system. They have healthier babies, and even their kids are very optimistic. And you'll find that they live longer. So what I'd like you to do, there is more to the 7 keys, and I'd like you to go to, again, zaheennanji.com /TIL/40, that's 40, and grab your free report on optimism. And the title is Empower Yourself with Optimism, the Key to a Much Happier and Longer Life. Okay, so if you, I would love to hear from you. So let me know what you thought about this. And I will see you in the next episode, number 41. But for now, go be optimistic, thrive in life, and make resilience your first reflex. Bye now.
Thanks so much for listening to Thrive in Life with your hosts, Zaheen Nanji. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit ZaheenNanji.com. That's ZAHEENNANJI.com. We'll catch you on the next episode of Thrive in Life.